folks, welcome back to the Lock Around the Clock week 2. As you notice, we're stepping it up here at Geno Productions. We got a new wall behind us. Kind of look like we're in the big house in Michigan after that big win last week against Notre Dame. But we're not talking college football. We're talking pro football. We're talking the NFL. We're talking about last week going 4-0-1, baby. And the only push came in the Tennessee game, which nobody really cared about anyway, but I had to pick it. So anyway, with no further ado, let's get on with week 2 because we're all looking to make some money this week, aren't we, people? All right, that's what it's all about. So let's start off with the 1 o'clock lock. And as you can tell, I'm in full Raider regalia after Monday night's game. 2 o'clock in the morning when they won against Denver again, beating them up in the Mile High City or Sports Authority Stadium or whatever they call it now. The authority was the Raiders and Run DMC Darren McFadden, who will be heading east to Orchard Park this week to take on the Buffalo Bills. And yes, my 1 o'clock lock is, of course, why not? The Raiders. Plus the 3. Who are the Bills to be giving 3 points to anybody, even at home? Last week they beat up on who? The Chiefs. If you remember last year, I called the Chiefs as the doormat of the AFC West. Well, they're starting to show that this year because they just got beat up at home as the Bills wiped their feet all over that doormat and put 41 points up on them in Arrowhead. Kansas City, we're not talking about, but Buffalo we are. Stevie Johnson, you're not going to have that same week this week. I also don't look for Scott Chandler at tight end to do that well, although the Raiders will let up some points in the middle or let up some catches in the middle to the tight end. Fred Jackson, yes, Bisconti, that was the monster I put on your team. Won't have a monster week this week, as you saw the Raiders shut down Noshawn Marino, who was actually somewhat of a better runner, hampered by cramps, hampered by injuries, hamstring issues, and then was just out of the game. I don't see the Raiders doing much less different this game because I see Fitzpatrick probably not having the same outing he had last week, even though they are at home. Look for the Raiders to come in, and with Run DMC and Michael Bush, we're probably going to see a little more Bush this week, but nobody ever complains about that. Beating up on the Bills this week. Get the Raiders, take the +3. That's my 1 o'clock lock. On to the 4 o'clock lock. Yes, this is my lock of the day, people. Believe it or not, Cincinnati is now going into Sports Authority Field to show who the Broncos will be the authoritators of. Not this week. Cincinnati coming in. I know Andy Dalton is out, but that's why I like him even more. I think Gradkowski, yes, the Raiders ex-QB, will go in there and light them up as he has the ability to find people downfield, to create, to run. As long as he doesn't get hurt, look for Gradkowski in the Bungles to run one up on Denver in Mile High. Take Cincinnati plus the 4 points. Benson is going to run all over the place on these guys. I look for A.J. Green to have a big week this week. As I said, Denver got beat up last week. The Raiders physically abused them. Champ Bailey is a little bit banged up, so that's why I think A.J. Green is going to have a big game. Simpson is going to have a big game. Eddie Royal and Brandon Lloyd, I don't know. Orton, I know the fans are chanting Tebow. Don't look for Tebow to come in this game unless Orton really gets pummeled. Look for this one to be a close one, tight one down the stretch, but the Bengals to pull it out plus the 4. That is my 4 o'clock lock. Take that one to the bank. That was the lock of the day. Moving on to my 8 o'clock lock. The 8 o'clock lock, yes, big matchup in Atlanta with Mike Vick returning to the Dome in Atlanta, where Matty Ice is now the reigning superstar in that dome. And after last week, I don't think he can look much worse. Look for Matty Ice to rebound because he has an incredible dome indoor, especially at home, record of like 24-2, I think it is. This game could very well turn out to be a shootout. Look for Roddy White to get back on track, Julio Jones to make some splashes in this game, and even Gonzo to go off. Michael Turner should do well against the linebacking core of the Eagles. Mike Vick will get some home crowd boos and cheers, and he will get loose, and he definitely will shine. This, like I said, could be a shootout. But why is Atlanta getting 2.5 at home? Trap game. The dream team of the Philadelphia Eagles did not look so great last week in certain plays as they kind of won a little bit towards the end of that game last week. I don't look for Philly to win this game. I don't know why they're giving 2.5. Atlanta is a much better team than they showed last week. Look for Atlanta to bounce back plus the 2.5. Take it to the book, take it to the bank, and take it 3-0 this week, people. Looking to go 3-0. And as usual, I will be away this week, but I will be watching the game, and I will be also rooting for my locks because you should too, because they are locks. And until next week, when I report back to you, although it will be a little bit haphazard because I'll be in Disney, folks. Look for my video next week to come in around Thursday, Friday. But until then, as always, yeah, take it easy.